So the first thing we're going to do when we want to match an existing molding is we need to get the old paint, if there is any, off the surface of the molding so that you can get the true shape of what the wood is. You're going to make a square cut in the molding, and that's going to allow you to butt that molding up against a blank of wood that's a little bit wider and a little bit thicker than what you need. And you're going to take a sharp pencil and trace the profile of that molding onto the end grain of your new piece of wood. Now, there's going to be a couple of spots sometimes, especially on this piece of molding, where it's too far gone to know exactly what it should have looked like. So you're going to have to do some educated guesswork that it would have been about like that. And a bevel gauge, adjustable bevel gauge, is a great way to sneak up on some of these angles and then use it as a way to trace them a little more cleanly. The thing that makes a piece of molding look really good is when you get nice, crisp corners. A couple of things to note here when you're picking the piece of wood. We're using a piece of white pine here. Try to choose stock that has, roughly the same grain pattern. Obviously, you don't want knots in the piece of wood because it's just going to make your life hard when it comes to hand planing and sanding. Then from there, it's going to be a little bit of a tedious process at the table saw. You're going to set the blade height so that you're just barely touching the line of that profile that you just traced, and you're going to make a series of nibble cuts, 1/8 of an inch at a time, adjusting the blade up and down as you go to account for those curves and different features of the molding. What you're going to be left with is essentially an 8-bit version of what a smooth molding might look like. And these cuts are a little too steep of an angle for us to easily make with the bevel on this saw. We could do it by making a kind of a tricky cut that way. It's not the safest, so we're just going to choose to clean these up with a hand plane. The block plane is really like the hero of this process. You can use this for a lot of the general shaping. The shoulder plane, because the blade goes all the way to the sides, as opposed to this one where it's in the center. This allows you to get into these inside corners and really crisp up the shape that way. The key to this is that you need to make really even strokes, whether sandpaper or block plane. The key is that you need to do even strokes from one end all the way to the other end. It's never right here and then a little bit here. You have to go here all the way down, back here all the way down. That's the only way you're going to get really consistent profile from one end to the other.